speaking of maybe not basic, but
Okay,
we have our GTM or GTFO, and I picked this post that I saw on LinkedIn.
Do you want to read it out for people not?
Sure. I'm going to give like maybe a TLDR version. So someone here is talking about what's the hottest job in 2025? The go-to-market engineer, which is funny because like a few years ago, we were actually talking about this. Like we thought about like, should we change our titles to like MOPS engineer, or go-to-market engineer? And we decided that would confuse people. So
we would have been so ahead of the curve.
We would have. But anyway, so it just talks about like once demanded great salespeople, now it requires great systems. Go-to-market engineer is a role that blends strategy, data, automation, and AI to create an outsized impact and go-to-market. It gives companies the power of hundreds of sales and ops people with just one person and a handful of tools, a fraction of the cost. What does a go-to-market engineer actually do? So this is like part of the reason why I wanted to talk about it, and it'll make sense. So sales processes, builds automated workflows that handle outreach and inbound engagement. That's the first one. Second one, lead scoring, leverages AI to enrich and prioritize leads more effectively. 3, targeted plays, launches curated data-driven outreach campaigns based on buyer signals. 4, revenue growth, develops strategies to upsell and expand optimal customer accounts. And then what makes a go-to-market engineer great? They're systems oriented, they're data oriented, they're process oriented. And then they kind of get more detail into that. How do you get started? Spend 20 hours mastering tools. And they talk about Clay, Unified.
Why 20?
I don't know.
Is that all you have to do?
I feel like it should be more than 20. It's like 1,000.
Isn't it like 1,000? Yeah. 10,000 hours and then you're...
and then start following some people. So yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, people talking about go-to-market engineer. And honestly, I had even like another post I saved the same day about another person talking about what they thought a go-to-market engineer was. I don't. So I want to hear what you think.
I want to hear what you think. Do you want to go? I've got a pretty good, like not a good opinion. I mean, like I've got quite a strong opinion actually.
Okay. Well, I just think like all those things, that's not like a one person job. Or I think if it was, I mean, that's probably the problem. Like we're telling the market, like, hey, you can do all of these things that do it like really well. And it's like, I think you're going to need a little bit of help there if you're trying to do all of those things on a daily basis. Or I just think it's just so much to do. I also am not really sure how this is different and why it would be the go-to-market engineer and also it's comparing it against like salespeople. Like you want like, first we required like good salespeople. Now we have a go-to-market engineer. It's like, well, you still need both, in my opinion, but maybe you're just like less reliant on a salesperson doing outbound if that's what they're trying to say. But I think the first thing that strikes me is like, this is a whole team's job and not just one person's job.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I find it funny because you could scrub everything from this post and 10 years ago said, what does marketing operations
do? Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking
helps
too.
The sales process, does lead scoring, helps sales outbound, targeted plays, and then helps revenue growth. So I think my first thought was like, have
you ever heard of go-to-market ops or marketing ops?
Well, the funny thing is, because then I was like, everyone's always trying to come up with new names for things. And I was like, wait a sec, we also kind of rebranded ourselves from marketing ops to go-to-market ops. When we thought about engineer, I think one of the reasons why we didn't go with it was it leans a little bit to only technical.
Right.
I know operations is still maybe kind of in, like it's not a perfect like circle over circle Venn diagram, but it's like a little bit overlap. But I think what go-to-market operations signals more than engineer is you're helping people, you're really building the strategy. Like it's more than just like how to do the tools. So
Yeah, it's
And
more
like,
than just the processes.
yeah, like I think the thing with the go-to-market engine, and so maybe I'll say the good part of this is I do agree. I do think there is a kind of a new world or role emerging, which is how to leverage kind of these new tools to do things. I wouldn't say like dramatically different than how everyone's done stuff before, but maybe just like supercharged. Like Clay, for example, right? Like in the past, to try and do like waterfall enrichment, and particularly you wouldn't even be able to do kind of like AI, create AI fields and all of that kind of stuff. Now that's a lot easier. But I've said this before in the podcast. It's really not, it's not like it's in a completely different arena than what operations people have been doing for the last 15 years. It's in the same arena. It's just a different, flavor. It's like kind of like just different tools. So I would say we don't need the term go-to-market engineer, but we need kind of that mentality of like testing out these tools.
Yeah.
And the perfect people to do that are go-to-market ops people, rev ops people, marketing ops people, like any of those really. If you've got like a rev ops team, you don't need to rebrand anyone, go-to-market engineer. Just get them kind of trying to leverage this new suite of tools potentially. Like if it makes sense to you, have a strategy first, obviously, and then try and potentially build out kind of the concept that they're trying to say in this post without needing like this extra title. So that's kind of where I land on this. So it's kind of like if it's GTM or GTFO, it's definitely not GTFO, because I think it is important to start learning this new crop of tools and kind of how we're powering these, enhanced workflows. It's not like different workflows, it's enhanced processes and workflows. But at the same time, the GTFO part is kind of how this is being positioned as something just completely dramatically different than what people have already been doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even some of those tools, right? Like people have been using Apollo for forever. The other interesting thing is like a go-to-market engineer, if you only spend 20 hours learning, so if you're someone who's never been an ops and you spend 20 hours learning Clay, Apollo, whatever, but then you don't spend any time learning HubSpot, Marketo, Sales, like the core stack that's in place today, I don't think you can do it, right? Like
no.
you can't just use these tools in a silo and just like expect. Maybe for smaller companies you can, but like for a bigger company, you can't just only use these tools in a silo. Like you have to integrate these tools with other tools in the stack. You have to pull that data back into HubSpot and Salesforce for reporting and helping your sales team. So
it's like growth hacker, this mentality, I think a little bit too.
It is, yeah.
And so part of me is like, we've come into organizations where they may be really early. And I'm not saying that the people didn't do good work, but when they do have that kind of like growth hacker kind of mindset, it's like, yeah, but we're like the Zamboni kind of coming through and cleaning that shit up like a lot of the time, because it's like they got way too many point solutions. No one knows what's going on. There hasn't been a focus on like the data quality. How are you even reporting on all of these tactics and things that you're doing? So I think it needs, this seems like it wouldn't be more like that, but to your point, like you need to have like the base foundation skills and then figure out how you build this on top of it. And if anything, I think it's trying to say too, like if people traditionally are thinking of MOPS folks or go-to-market people of just like running campaigns or something you would do out of a marketing automation platform, and this is a step beyond that. Mm-hmm. I agree. And I do think that that's an advantageous thing to think about pivoting your career and trying to think more around the operation. But there's operators who have been doing more sales outbound plays and
loads.
Like we've been doing that. I mean, I've been doing it. I did that like in one of my first jobs, so it's like, yeah.
Like the ways to communicate with buyers haven't really fundamentally changed, right? It's through voice and text.
And mail.
But I mean like text is in mail, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, so you either call people or you send them text and things, or I guess like maybe GIFs or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, with those fundamentals in play, you can add like a way to get better personalized
Yeah.
text or a way to have more context to have a call, but like still kind of that front line is the same. Or you can have AI handling like the creation of that text or even the voice communication with the client. But like I think we're still confined by like that. Like maybe something fundamentally different eventually would be kind of how to telepathically communicate with clients. That would be like a really fundamental change. But this is like, we're still limited by how you can communicate and how you can try and get, influence buyers. But then we're just supercharging these workflows. And that's why I still feel like it's just a building on top of what we're doing. That's why I don't like this, like everyone's like this completely different. But to his point, if you're not experimenting with trying to leverage these new tools, you might be behind. And just maybe not even from like a what's best for your business point of view, what's best for your career.
Yeah.
Is trying to leverage these tools.
Or just learn about them. That's the start.
Because that's what companies are looking for, whether that's right or wrong. Right. The company might not even benefit from the tool, but it's what they're kind of expecting now, and the market's shifting. And so for everyone in ops, try and stay on top of it, just because it's going to help you have a more sound career.
Yeah.